Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is the fourth part of environmental statistics in which we are going to discuss about statistical distribution. In today's video, normal distribution, binomial distribution and Poisson distribution will be described in detail. And in the last, we will also see some questions regarding this topic. For better understanding of this topic, you must watch the previous videos on measures of central tendency and dispersion. In case if you haven't seen that, you can check it from the link provided in the description. Before starting normal distribution, first of all we should know that what is statistical distribution. Statistical distribution is also known as probability distribution, and it helps us to describe that how the data are distributed in any field or experiment. Normal distribution is one of the most important statistical distributions. It is continuous probability distribution which is bell-shaped, unimodal and symmetrical. Now, let's learn the properties of normal distribution one by one. First property states that it has only two parameters. One is mean and the second one is standard deviation. When we plot normal distribution in a graph, we get a bell-shaped symmetrical curve which is known as normal curve. This curve is unimodal and it has asymptotic tail, which means that the tails never touches the x-axis. Second important property of normal distribution is that here the value of mean, median and mode are equal and they all coincide at the center. This is because the normal distribution is symmetrical and it has only one peak. The third important property of normal distribution is that its range is unlimited, infinite in both directions. Next property tells that there are 2 points of inflection for the normal distribution. The point of inflection is the point where the change in curvature occurs at a distance of standard deviation on the either side of the mean, and this is given at x is equal to mean plus minus standard deviation. In the previous video, we have learned about the quartile and quartile deviation. As the normal distribution is symmetrical, so here the third quartile and the first quartile are at the equal distances, which gives that the value of first quartile is equal to mean minus 0.67 and the value of third quartile is equal to mean plus 0.67. So, we get the range of normal distribution which is from minus 0.67 to plus 0.67. The sixth important property of normal distribution is that it has zero skewness and zero kurtosis. Skewness tells us about the symmetry of any curve, whereas the kurtosis tells us about the peakness of any curve. In the next video, we will know about these in detail. The seventh property of normal distribution tells us about the value of the maximum ordinate which lies at mean and is equal to the value of y, which is given by 1 divided by standard deviation under root 2x. As the standard deviation increases, the value of y also increases. As for normal distribution, the mean and median are equal, so the coordinate at x is equal to mean or z is equal to 0 divides the whole area into two equal parts. One is right and the other is left to the ordinate, which is equal to 0.5. So, by this we get that the total area under the normal curve is equal to 1. The maximum ordinate is at the mean, and at various standard deviations, the distances are in the fixed positions to the ordinate at the mean. This table gives the distance from the mean ordinate in terms of the standard deviation. So, you can pause the video and note down this table as it is very important. One important point to note is that to fix the curve, we just have to determine the mean and standard deviation. And if the value of mean or standard deviation changes, the curve will also change. But the curve will always remain symmetrical at the maximum ordinate, that is equal to the y. Second important statistical distribution is binomial distribution, which can be approximated by the normal distribution. Binomial distribution is a discrete probability distribution which is obtained when the probability of an event is same in all the trials and there are only two possible outcomes of each trial. There are certain conditions for using binomial distribution. First one is that the variable should be discrete, which means that the value of variable x should never be in decimal or in fraction. Second one is that the happening of an event should always have two possible outcomes. That is, it should have either success or failure. Third is that the number of trials n should be finite and small. Fourth is that the trials of events must be independent, which means that the happening of one event must not affect the happening of the other event. Fifth condition is that the trial or event must be repeated under the same conditions. Next, let's see the properties of binomial distribution. As earlier mentioned, it is discrete probability distribution. There are two parameters, P or Q and N. Here P and Q is either success or failure and N is the number of trials. Third property gives the mean, standard deviation, variance and coefficient of the dispersion of binomial distribution. Here the mean is equal to NP, standard deviation is equal to under root NPQ, as the variance is the square of standard deviation, so variance becomes NPQ. The coefficient of dispersion is equal to NPQ upon NP, that will be equal to Q. Here the N is the number of independent events, P is the probability of success and Q is the probability of failures. The third property tells us about the skewness and kurtosis of the binomial distribution, which are given by these formula. Fifth property states that binomial distribution is symmetrical when the probability of success and failure is equal to 0.5. Sixth property tells that if binomial distribution is positively skewed, the value of P will be greater than 0.5 and it will be negatively skewed if the value of P will be less than 0.5. Last important statistical distribution is Poisson distribution. Poisson distribution represents the probability distribution of discrete, random variables of rare events whose probability occurrence is very small but the number of events is very large and it may approach to infinity. There are certain characteristics of Poisson distribution. First one is that the occurrence of events are independent and random. Second one is that it is the limited form of binomial distribution. So, it is basically applicable to the events where the binomial expression formula can be used. Third property is that it may be expected in cases where the chances of individual even being success is very small. Fourth, states that the Poisson distribution has a single parameter, that is mean. Fifth point is that here the mean and variance are equal. Sixth property is that it is positively skewed and it declines with the rise of value of mean. Seventh is that it is leptokurtic, which decreases with the increase of mean. We will know this term in the upcoming next video. The Poisson distribution is calculated by this formula. Here P is the probability of success, X are the variables, E is the constant which is equal to 2.718 and M is the finite positive constant which is also known as the parameter of Poisson distribution. Poisson distribution is a discrete distribution with a parameter M, so it has various constants which are mean is equal to M, which is equal to P. Here variance is equal to mean. The standard deviation is equal to under root M. Skewness is equal to 1 upon M and kurtosis is equal to 3 plus 1 upon M. Now, to recall what we have learned today, let's solve some questions. After reading the question, I will wait for some seconds so that you can also guess the answer. The first question is, if P and Q are the probabilities of success and failure respectively in a trial and N is the total number of trials, then its variance will be equal to So here, as it is the case of binomial distribution, our correct option will be option B, that is variance will be equal to NPQ. Second question is, what is the value of skewness for a normal distribution? So here, our correct option will be option C, that is 0, because a normal distribution is always symmetrical. Third question is, which of the following statements are correct regarding Poisson distribution? As we know that the Poisson distribution is a discrete probability distribution, so after eliminating option A, we will get our correct answer, that will be option B. Next question is, which of the following indicates that the data set is not distributed in a bell-shaped? So here, as we know that in normal distributed curve, the mean, median and mode are equal, so our correct option will be option C. Question is, if mean and variance of a Poisson distribution are mu and sigma respectively, then which of the following relation is correct? Here, as we know that in Poisson distribution, mean is equal to variance, so our correct option will be option B. Next question is, which of the following are the properties of normal distribution? Here, our correct option will be option second, that is statement C and D. Statement C states that mean is plus minus 2 standard deviation and covers the 95% of the observation. And statement D states that normal distribution is a bell shaped and symmetric. Last question is, in symmetrical distribution pattern, so here the correct option will be option A, which states that mean, median and mode coincides. That's all for today. Hope you liked it. Till then, thanks for watching.